God works in ways that we do not understand. He works a work that is beyond our comprehension. He works a work that our minds can never grab hold of and grasp. His thoughts are not our thoughts, and His ways are not our ways. We associate uncomfortable things, or things that we don't like to go through, as being God is opposing us, or God isn't in it, or God isn't working through it. But God is in control of everything. And oftentimes the very thing that we are uncomfortable with is the thing that He has set up for us to be worked on and to work through the situation to come to Him with. It's working out of us things that need to get out. And He's good and perfect in all of His ways. So His plan is good and perfect. And what He does is a good work from the beginning of time. Before we were ever even in our mother's womb, He knew us. He formed us in our mother's womb. He knitted us together. He has a plan for each and every one of our lives. And His plans are to prosper us and not to harm us, to give us hope and a future. He picked up the invisible ink of the Spirit and formulated the pages of our life. He organized it in such a way that brought us to the place that we are right now. And it is already done. He's just having us walk through the process with Him and trust Him as we grow. He teaches us that line must be upon line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. That is the way God works in our lives. He builds us over time. He causes our minds to be renewed and causes our soul to prosper through the things that we experience day to day. Just like everything in this earth, it happens over time. The trees change and grow and develop through a process that takes time. The flowers of the field, the birds of the air, every living thing that He made is developed in His timing, and He's making it beautiful. In the light of His presence, He wrote these lines. In the light of His presence, He wrote our lives. He designed it, He orchestrated it, and He's put it in motion. And continuing to stay in that light is bringing it to pass and causing something that's written with invisible ink on our heart to become our lives down here on this earth, as He brings heaven to this earth through us. When we begin to trust God's goodness and truly in our hearts believe that He works everything for the good in our lives, that His intentionality and His purpose is good for our lives, we begin to welcome the testing. We begin to welcome the things that are tough and uncomfortable, because that is what's bringing elevation. That is what is building us and strengthening us in faith and drawing us closer to our Heavenly Father. A just man falls 7 times, yet rises again. A just man falls 7 times, yet rises again. God has already made provisions for our decisions, and He knows how fragile we are in faith at times. He also knows the end from the beginning, and He is faithful to bring us to the end, no matter where we are at the beginning, at the starting place of our lives and what we have come to Him with. He addresses it all and brings us to that place of holiness with Him. And there's a man named Jephthah in the Bible. In his story, he was rejected by his family and pushed out. And in that rejection, he fled to a place called Tob. And the translation of this place, of this word Tob, is pleasant, good, or better than. We are all in that situation like Jephthah was. Where we are right now is one place and situation, but God is taking us to a better, more beautiful, more pleasant place than we are right now, through the situation that we're dealing with and going through. And it's beautiful because He is in it. Where you are right now is beautiful, but where God is taking you is even more beautiful, and He's bringing you from glory to glory in Him. And when we can take our eyes off of the physical situations we're in and put them on who He is, then our whole lives, every jot, every tittle, every line upon line, and every precept upon precept, the menial things, the minuscule things, the things that we think are insignificant, the things that we may think are inconvenient, are a thing that we wouldn't want to go through, uncomfortable, or God may not be part of this thing. We begin to see them in the light of His presence. And we begin to see Him instead of focusing on it, and we begin to magnify Him. Magnify the Lord in your heart and in your lives, and we begin to transform how we think, how we live, and begin to become grateful for this moment, because we know all things are working together for the good, because we love Him, and He first loved us. We realize that He's holding all things together by the power of His Word, that this moment is being held together by Him, and so are we, and that we begin to hand over the authority of our lives to the author of our lives. In that place, He gets to authorize some things that may be uncomfortable, but as long as we're in His hands, it's going to work for our good, and it's going to be a blessing, and we're going to arrive at a better place than we are right now. And at the end of Jephthah's story, his family needed him, and he returned to fight for them and with them, and overcame the enemy, and received more than what he had in the beginning, or would have gotten from the inheritance. God has an amazing inheritance set for our lives that we couldn't ask, think, or imagine in approaching Him about. We have to be faithful to Him and obedient servants, obedient sons and daughters to Him to inherit that. He has to be able to trust us that we will do His will with it and not our own will. It may not make sense, everything God is doing right now, and to your eyes it never will make sense. But God is doing a complete work, and if you take one of these pages out of context, it may be confusing or frustrating, but when we set our eyes on Him, we wait on the Lord patiently to see the conclusion of the whole matter. Like the books of the Bible, God is doing a work. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. There's a divine inspiration behind what He's doing. And when we get to operate in His hands and put our trust in Him, our lives are divinely inspired. They're led by His Spirit, by His unctioning, and by His presence in our lives. He binds us together in cords of love, of His love for His name's sake, and we never see Him coming. But through those things we didn't understand, the lines upon lines, the precepts upon precepts, the things He's written in our hearts, we begin to see a more full picture of what He's doing, and He animates our life. And we come to the realization in the end place that it is finished on the cross, and we recognize the work that He's done. We can rejoice now because it is finished. He did the work. It is complete. And what you did not see God doing in the beginning, you will know at the end of it that He had been there the whole time. And the things that seem menial, mundane, everyday things, the things that are uncomfortable, the things that we don't want to go through, and the things that we rejoice in, we become grateful for it all, and thank Him through every season, every test, and every trial, because we recognize and realize that God makes the menial meaningful, that we are living epistles that others get to read, and the same God that authored the book of life authored your life.